Hello, welcome to version 1.003 of uh, uh, a presentation about climate change. This is a bun-side upgraded software presentation. Uh, First, we'll go over the 99 hard problems, then the energy per capita, then the discussion. So, um, the Um, one of the largest challenges to climate change is that it's not one problem, but 99, uh, but but 99 hard problems. Um, it uh, it's as a visual representation. It's an intensely complex system that's like the end game of a 100 by 100 goal game. Uh, it's impossible for the human mind to uh, sort of take in the entire picture, rather because there are too many moving parts and too many aspects in terms of bandwidth. Uh, our mind is is unable to sort of process the full problem. Um, One of the solutions to this is to hierarchize and bonsai the entire uh, system. What what components could be taken out, especially at the top of the hierarchy, to make it um, more manageable, and to at least remove it, to bonsai it down to 50 problems. Um, it is difficult to do, and much heated debate uh, is necessary. But the 99 problems is is too much. Uh, so an example of bonsaiing the top of the hierarchy is to uh, to sort of remove from consideration the things that that does not work currently, and unfortunately that means sort of the current carbon sequestering uh, in terms of scale and efficiency. it, the problem is so large that the current bonsai the current removal technologies are not enough. So uh, perhaps we could bonsai that out. And the top of the tree currently um, is energy meet forest construction. Um, uh, this would at least bring some order to this uh, tremendously difficult thing to understand. In the uh, so it's extremely interconnected, and more accurately, it's 100,000 or 10,000 Go game. Uh, so so another uh, possible sort of assistance to this is to to constantly refine and bonsai a climate change software that helps us make the best sense of this entire thing. Uh, that software uh, can help the public understand the problem. The software can help us better solve the problem and divert our resources. So, uh, much like the degree, the 2-degree warming innovation that helps measuring climate change much easier, can we find something much like the 2-degree, uh, you know, the 6-degree innovation that would encapsulate our approach to solving the problem um, in a similar simplification. Uh, so, in terms of software, uh, can we constantly update and bonsai the software for many cycles uh, and relentlessly bonsai it until uh, a sort of uh, uh, relentlessly refine it until it has a a clear standard, clear simplified standard. Um, to do this, we can study societal complex systems. Particularly, we can study the largest interconnected software systems of the world, like Google is one of the systems, and the financial markets is another one of the systems. Also, we can study video game complex systems, particularly the how the largest uh, uh, video game developers, um, the largest MMO games in the world, how they manage thousands upon thousands of different components and make it all work. Uh, how do we deal with the uh, great acceleration? How do we deal with the great acceleration of energy per capita? Because our our wants are virtually infinite. Um, and to keep up with the new demand for uh, for new wants, uh, the energy per capita is also undergoing a great acceleration. So one of the potential solutions to the energy per capita is to live in a virtualized world, a concerted effort to divert a, a large part of the production and consumption cycle to the virtual world where the energy per capita is less expensive. So we're undergoing a current sort of a transition towards the virtual world, and uh, eventually we'll get to a point uh, where anybody could enter the virtual world via the cloud glasses for $1. In the in the myopia presentation, I argued it as a potential detriment, but it also could be a potential sort of solution. um, where everybody will just sit down and particularly eat as as eat perhaps 2 meals a day and and be satisfied in the virtual world. Um, as a tangent, uh, one of the reporters mentioned that covering the climate change story is is very taxing to the reporter because it's the same dull, boring, grim story. Um, that that uh, a lot of the um, a lot of the pop public reflexively avoid because there's it does not trigger any dopamine releases. It does not provide pleasure. It just provides pain. It it just is a PR marketing nightmare. So how would we approach the climate change story, the climate change event from a PR marketing perspective? Can we um uh can we gather a team of the best PR marketers in the world and ask them to sort of solve this PR marketing problem at a time where the rapid growth of the attention economy makes boredom tolerance sort of uh, makes boredom tolerance something that's tremendously lacking. Hard the extremely difficult challenge of having some story that's so boring and grim and sort of uh and large and incomprehensible. Um, so one of the uh, one of the games, one of the sort of content, uh, um, one of the content that could sort of combat this same grim, dull story is the Final Fantasy VII schema. Um, it is a lively, exciting sort of personable uh, game that sort of penetrated the collective consciousness, especially in Japan, uh, that it it contains the sort of, first of all, it's an episodic game that you can release new versions of, and secondly, it engages the youth with story, music, interactivity, and strategy. Um, if we could produce um, something like the Final Fantasy uh, 7 content that sort of, and it provides agency. You know, you are in the fight, so to speak. You are fighting the monsters, uh, the antagonist that causes climate change, that is damaging our living, breathing world, Gaia, which is uh, also encapsulated in the game. Another tangent is large, innovative, systematic change. Um, these things really sort of it 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 can it can fail drastically and use up all of the current uh, regime's status quo. No, I mean uh, sort of political currency. But uh, I guess we should study large, innovative, systematic changes that works, like China's new social credit system. Um, try new things, but only after careful, uh, exhaustive debate. So I encourage you to participate. Start your own presentation about climate change. Um, Rewatching other updated presentations provide fresh new perspective and new facts. Watching and produce presentations makes you a lo-fi for change and educates you and those around you. Make a hobby of climate change. Uh, and this Final Fantasy VII schema uh, helps drastically in making it a hobby rather than a grim, boring story that we reflexively avoid. Uh, Please feel free to utilize it, utilize this presentation in your own presentation. It's uh, it's released in the public domain. Uh, newfound ideas for this version. Um, the Great Acceleration is one of the ideas that I'm sort of analyzing. Uh, Particularly this energy per capita analysis. Virtualization potentially is a large um, sort of aid to this energy per capita because because um, it it will be a bridge to our current sort of uh, uh, it will encourage consumption away from the uh, sort of things in the physical world to a digitized world where it does not harm it does not harm the environment so much. So, uh, as an end to this presentation, I'm going to sort of enter a discussion phase. Um, so, so I'm going to count down 10 minutes as a discussion. How would historical reformers like Diocletian tackle this problem? Because in my opinion, Diocletian faced a similar um, challenge where where there is an intense crisis, there's a failing status quo system, and his his approach is to sort of divide and conquer, you know, divide Rome into into four quadrants, and that that act um sort of preserved the eastern portion of Rome for another 1,000 years. So another historical precedent is FDR and the New Deal. He gathered a team of the brain trust and and tried various new things that may or may not have worked, but is very much necessary um to combat the intense crisis. Are there any other um his, historical precedents like Diocletian and FDR? And can we sort of intensely study the histo- historiography and um, other intense studies, intensely study the history of Diocletian and FDR and and learn from it the details of um which uh from which uh we are able to derive lessons from. So I'll just do a 5 minute discussion today. Um, successful systematic sys- successful large systematic reform. Societal reform. Diocletian is the uh, longest successful societal reform. And in my opinion, you could argue this, but Caesar also implemented a successful large systemic reform. And because uh, I guess you could argue this. Um, okay, I'll wait until the countdown alarm goes off. So, in my opinion, the the re-release of Final Fantasy and the story of Final Fantasy uh, uh, could be subsidized in terms of having the story reach uh, a broader audience. And particularly, we need careful analysis here. I think the if we analyze the energy per capita, it's it, you know it's an uncomfortable truth, an inconvenient truth. So we need to sort of understand how we can change this system as well. Okay, thank thank you very much for watching this presentation, and I will be updating this presentation every uh, couple of months.